Hey, welcome. My name is James Spencer. I am a partner solutions architect here at AWS, and thank you for joining us at the New York Summit. I'm joined today by Andy Bate, Principal Product Manager for AWS Glue. Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good, good. I hear we have a new launch that with Glue that you're going to show us. But first of all, what is Glue for people that are just checking in?
Sure. AWS Glue is AWS's data integration service. We launched AWS Glue in 2017, knowing that customers needed a scalable serverless tool for addressing all their ETL needs in one place. And since then, we expanded Glue to be a full-fledged data integration service. It offers cataloging, data movement, data cleansing, as well as data management functionality, and also allows you to do data processing with a variety of different engines. And it really is meant to support every type of data processing workload in order to allow you to prepare data for further analysis down the line. And what we do is we simplify complex manual uh, processes that are difficult and time consuming in traditional and on prem environments. And we're able to support petabyte scale data transfer as well. We provide pay as you go billing so that you can increase your agility and optimize your costs. The other thing is that we offer a variety of different user interfaces for both technical and non-technical users so that everybody has access to these tools, and that's kind of the key thing that today's launch is about.
Yeah, awesome. User interface faces kind of gives me a hint at no code possibilities, so I'm kind of interested to hear what this is going to be about. Um, so I've heard that the new launch is going to be AWS Glue Studio and AWS Glue DataBrew, integrating those two together. You want to tell us a little bit about that before we get going?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to give a little context, we have two different no-code interfaces for AWS Glue right now, and what today's launch is doing is to kind of converge on a single unified no-code interface. So we have two ways of looking at how we're moving and processing data. One is with a flow diagram style interface that's targeted towards ETL developers, and that's AWS Glue Studio's Visual ETL interface. And the second one is AWS Glue DataBrew, which is a spreadsheet style interface that's used by data analysts and business users to prepare data and apply fine grained transformations. And in DataBrew, what you do is you create a list of data preparation steps called a recipe. And uh, what we're finding is that the business users will create those recipes and then hand it off to a technical user who will then turn it into a production process that runs on an ongoing basis. And today we're happy to announce that we've made that easier by integrating DataBrew recipes with the rest of AWS Glue so that they're interoperable.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, one of the things we always try and talk about is, what was the problem before and what is this launch trying to solve? And just having those integrations definitely help the business user being able to work with the technical user a little bit better. Um, cool. So did you have a demo that you wanted to show us, or any slides or anything to give us a kind of overview?
Yeah. So let me just give you a quick overview here, and we'll jump into a demo. So, like I said, business users are defining their data cleansing and preparation steps via recipes in DataBrew. And then they hand that off to a technical user who then deploys it and scales it up to process really large amounts of data in a production environment. And so what we've done is made it possible to use a DataBrew recipe inside an AWS Glue job. And that applies to both visual jobs and code-based jobs. This way, a data engineer or an ETL developer can take the recipe, scale it up to process petabytes of data, and also they get a 9% lower price than they did before in most regions. They are also able to use DataBrew recipes in with the AWS Glue 4.0, which is our most recent version of our engine, and that offers better performance than before, as well as auto scaling for even further reduced costs.
Awesome. Yeah, auto
Uh,
scaling. Oh, sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm not just gonna say that auto scaling is definitely one of the like top easy things to knock out cost optimization. Just making sure that you have the power you need when you need it, and then just kicking it out when you don't. That's easily one of the top ways to optimize your cost. So that's great.
Exactly. So everything is on demand in Glue. It's one of the advantages of our serverless engine, and the fact that we started development on it so early. We've had a long time to reach maturity. And speaking of maturity, one of the other advantages of the integration between Glue Studio and DataBrew is that DataBrew users now get access to all of the existing Glue functionality, so that there's one set of features across both interfaces, and that includes things like building your own custom transforms, doing incremental processing, as well as combining multiple data sets. And I'll show you that now. I'm going to switch over to the demo and just show you the integration in action.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. That's great.
All right. So I've already logged into AWS console, and I navigated to the AWS Glue DataBrew landing page here. And I'm going to show you the full end to end of how you would go about creating a project in DataBrew, creating then a recipe that defines the transformation steps that you want to use, and then using that in Glue Studio. So let's get started. Here, I'm going to select the option that you see here to create a sample project. If I click that, uh, we get a list of different publicly available data sets that we can use to create that project. And then if I do that and I click the orange button at the bottom right, we'll get started with that project. Now I've already done this in this account, so let me show you the projects that I created. I have a few samples here, and I'll start off with sample project one. And when I open it, excuse me, sample project two, and then when I open that, I'll come to this screen here, which shows me a preview of all of the data in the data set. It gives me column statistics that I can use to figure out what I might want to do with that data and whether the data has problems that need to be solved via applying transformation steps. And in the interest of speed, I've already specified a few transformation steps here in this recipe. So on the right-hand side, you can see the steps that I defined earlier. So first, I'm going to filter some values to remove null values in a field called disarmament. This data set is a list of UN votes, hence the column name disarmament, as well as another one called assembly session. And then I'm going to also split up a column based on a delimiter. In this case, it's a slash, and you can see the result of that here in this column in the center, resolution 1 and resolution 2. And finally, I'm sorting the data set on the assembly session column. So that's a very simple recipe, but it's a good way of demonstrating with the kind of capabilities that you have here. You can see a list of all the different transform categories that we have across the top of this in the toolbar. There's about 250 of them overall. And
Nice.
once we're satisfied with this recipe, what we can then publish it and add a description, and it'll create a new version of the recipe. So version 2, and publish it. The versions are also numbered in the system as well. And so now we're done. We've published that list of steps, and now it's ready for use in either a DataBrew job or a regular Glue job. So if I
Awesome.
switch over to AWS Glue console, I can navigate to AWS Glue Studio, you see here at the top, which is our job authoring interface. And you have a few different options here for creating new jobs. I've already created a sample job, which I'm going to modify now to use the recipe that we just looked at. So I'll click on that. And this is the visual interface in Glue Studio. And as you can see, rather than a spreadsheet interface, we have this flow diagram here. And there's a couple things I wanted to point out. The first is that we are taking two different data sets and joining them together, which is something that you can do in the spreadsheet interface, but is easier to do here. And we have a lot more flexibility in terms of doing multiple joins. So this is just a data set that's in Amazon S3. And I've listed where the location of it, and then we automatically infer the schema for you. And that's visible here at the bottom of the screen. Now, once we've joined that data with the other data set, what I can do is add a recipe. And so right now I've already added one, which is called sample recipe one. And you can see here the steps on the right-hand side that are part of that recipe. You can also see that I've selected the first version of that recipe. We have a couple of options to go and edit that recipe or create a new one in the DataBrew interface. Next, I am going to add a new recipe or an additional recipe as a step in the flow. And I will change my target to use that as the parent. So now let me come back and configure that recipe node. I'll select recipe 2, which is what I just updated with a new version. And so now I can select that here. And you can see here the steps that I just showed you on the DataBrew interface. And now you can see how we can break down recipes into a set of different steps and then chain them together in AWS Glue, which is another piece of new functionality that was not available previously in DataBrew. And so this gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do because Glue visual ETL jobs allow you to create custom visual transforms and apply them as part of this flow. They also give you a flexibility in terms of the engine settings that we don't offer in DataBrew today. So it just adds a lot of functionality and makes it easier for data engineers and ETL developers to take those recipes and work with them after a business user has defined what they want. And so this is a simple flow, and there's a couple other things that I wanted to show you about it. I'll save that for the time being. So, like I said earlier, we also allow you to use DataBrew recipes in code-based jobs. And one of the things that we do in AWS Glue Studio is to provide the code that we are using under the hood to execute this diagram. And so this is the code representation that we generate. And so that you can also modify this, or you can create the equivalent yourself in your own environment. The other thing that we allow you to do is version your jobs, and that includes the visual representation of the job. We have a Git integration. If we click here on the version control tab, you can see that here. And there's a couple different options right now, code commit and GitHub, with more on the way. And that allows you to set up AWS Glue jobs as part of your deployment pipelines with automated testing, as well as approvals before you deploy them in production. The other thing that you can do with that is you're going to actually download the job, as you can see here in this menu. I can download this entire job as a JSON file and upload it again, or modify it and without losing the visual interface. And that brings us to the end of the demo.
Nice. That's great. I was just you touched on the stuff that I was going to ask without even having to ask because I love no code, low code stuff. But I come from a developer kind of background, so it's like I know that there are, times when I do want to dive under the hood, maybe tweak some stuff, make some manual integration. And then those ways of having version control of it, that's even better. That way, you always can roll back or you can collaborate. Makes that so much easier for those kind of things, definitely. Especially when you're going, like you said, from the business side of things to the more technical side of things. Um, that helps that immensely. Um, Great. So, what do you want to leave us with? So, more scalable, better integrations. Uh, you said there was things that they were different between the two, and now they're kind of combined. Is that
Yeah,
what it
and
was?
everything lines up now. So all the functionality that you get in Studio and DataBrew are now interoperable, and that's one of the big benefits that customers have been asking us for. And so we have answered that by creating this integration. And we have a blog post that describes using this, as a demo video that you can watch independently of this as well. So there's a lot of materials to help you get started, and so we're looking forward to hearing customer feedback.
Yeah, awesome. And I also like that those data sets are just in the console, though that sample project, you could just without anything else, you could just dive into the console and do it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
great too.
just a matter of a few seconds. Honestly, it's really
Yeah,
convenient.
awesome. Great. Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you for showing us all that was wonderful. And to all our viewers, thank you for joining us and learning about AWS Glue Studio and DataBrew. And please make sure you stay tuned for more great sessions here at the New York Summit. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.